Hey there, my name's Niandra and I wanted to make a short video listing some good and some bad Mercy habits. Side note, this video isn't in any particular order, so let's get started with the good habits. Number 1. Using Angelic Descent when booped to get knocked back further. The most common example is, when caught in Roadhog's ultimate, you should use Angelic Descent and move in the direction you're being pushed towards to get more distance and take less damage. This is also the case with many boops, where having Angelic Descent active as you get booped will launch you further, which can help create distance. This is primarily helpful when playing against a Winston that's sleeping, which looks like this with no input from Mercy. Now, if you have no other options for dodging it, like Guardian Angel is on cooldown, holding Angelic Descent and movement keys will send you further back. It's not a huge amount of distance, but it can place you outside the range of Winston's primary fire and give you a head start on escaping. Number 2. Making good use of the ping system. Mercy is a character that basically gets to watch over a fight and gather information, but I know a lot of players don't feel comfortable speaking over voice for a number of valid reasons. Although it's not a perfect replacement, the ping system can alleviate this a little bit, so point out flanks, traps, low health enemies, and so on. Something that a lot of people don't know is that you bring up the ping menu by holding down the ping button like this. If you then press the button of an ability on cooldown, you'll print its timer in chat. This isn't useful for Guardian Angel, but it does let you state your res timer without needing a soul to ping. Number 3. Being aware when your team is playing very close together and you have no escape options, and then preferably having a backup plan as well. I've said this in like 5 videos now, but ideally as Mercy, you either want to position behind your team or sorta in the middle so you have flight paths both in front of you and behind you. However, sometimes this won't be an option because of how your teammates are playing, so it's important to have an idea of what you'll do if suddenly under attack. This could include a wide range of things, from watching the enemy to see if they make the first move, to preemptively positioning smartly, to being aware of cover behind you that can be used to break line of sight, to knowing there's high ground nearby. Sometimes even just being able to grab a health kit quickly will be better than doing nothing while Winston zaps you. Number 4. Cutting out slingshots and jumps when you can to keep the cooldown of Guardian Angel shorter. Let's say you have an ally on high ground. If you fly to them and jump, you'll hastily land much deeper, which can be great for breaking line of sight. If you fly to them and don't jump, we're kinda slower but can still get back a little bit with our momentum. Both methods have their pros and cons, so try to evaluate the situation instead of just always defaulting to the slingshot. If you're using an ally to get to another one, do you want to jump afterwards for more range, or play slower and safer by doing 2 GAs? Also, sometimes when you Guardian Angel to a beam target you are not looking at, you can unintentionally get stuck on props. Now, prop bouncing can be really useful, but occasionally it will get in my way if I don't expect it, and I'll just sort of jump in place like this. I've been trying to get into the habit of cancelling GA after realising I'm stuck, or making use out of the jump rather than just hopping in place and delaying the cooldown. In general, it's kinda worth training yourself to be prepared for Guardian Angel going wrong or getting caught on something, because when it does happen, it's usually unexpected and doesn't leave you with much reaction time. Number 5. Starting a round off as Lucio, speed boosting the team out of spawn, changing back to Mercy, then using Guardian Angel to catch up with everyone else. This is primarily useful on King of the Hill, push and flashpoint. If the enemy team is running Lucio, you will generally match their first push, and if they aren't, you probably get to the fighting area first. Defending is generally easier than attacking, so getting a head start on making space can provide a really nice subtle advantage. The only thing with this is that your other support can steal Mercy, so be aware of that and maybe let the team know you're swapping back. Moving on, let's talk about bad habits. Number 1. Prioritizing or attending to allies that objectively can't be saved. So for example, let's say we're healing our injured Anna, who's really into standing near pits, and she gets booped in by Lucio. In this moment, there is nothing that can be done for Anna, so should we still be healing her? Another example would be if my squishy DPS is stuck with a pulse bomb and there's no way to mitigate it. In moments like these, I will usually flick my beam onto someone else or switch to damage boost to try to get in one last amplified shot before they're out. That being said, once in a blue moon, I will break this rule if I'm desperate for ult charge and there's just no other way to get it faster. I think another more common example of this sentiment is when your team has lost a fight and it's you and one other ally left alive, so you damage boost them so they die quicker instead of staggering. Number 2. Looking down to the floor during Resurrect. For a couple of years I thought this would hide Mercy's head hitbox, but her third person model animation is somewhat locked during res. If you do look down, all you're really doing is denying yourself information by narrowing your vision. That being said, the suit part of her wings can tank damage, and towards the end of res, Mercy raises her left arm which very briefly covers her head at certain angles. So like, from these sort of positions you can kinda block headshot damage, but I'm not sure I would rely on this. Number 3, just general tunnel vision. I have had moments where I'm watching a fight so intensively that I don't notice my beam break because an ally wandered off. I've also mentioned in the past that in a lot of VOD reviews, I'll see people healing their full health beam target because an ally is injured in the distance, and they're thinking about that. Another player might really want to reach an ally out of view on high ground, and they'll just stare trying to catch line of sight instead of looking for alternative routes. Something that helps me with tunnel vision is simply taking a break every so often and also forcing my eyes away from being permanently stuck in the middle of the screen sort of area. Mercy's kit might not be set up for multitasking, but that doesn't mean it's not a huge part of her gameplay. And last of all, prioritizing good stats over good gameplay. Okay, listen, I'm not going to pretend I'm above this one. I have absolutely gone for a res outside of spawn that we didn't need, or spent 5 minutes healing a diva that gets demeched anyway because it tickles the same part of my brain that enjoys cookie clicker. But deep down, I at least know I shouldn't be. I think with Mercy mains there's 2 primary pitfalls, and one of them is healing done. While it's nice to see that very public number go up, if you let Anna take care of the tank instead while damage boosting soldier, she gets to build nano quicker while your DPS pushes past breakpoints easier. Your visible stats will be lower, but your contributions are still valid, even when the scoreboard can't track a positive chain of events. The second example is number of deaths, and to be fair, keeping that number as low as possible is for the most part a good thing. It can be a great indicator that you're doing well or need to be doing something different. I'd say it's one of the best goals to strive towards when trying to improve as Mercy. That being said, I think some players get so wrapped up in keeping the stat low that they'll play more passively and not help allies that could be saved. In some mid to low rank VOD reviews, I've seen players who seem too afraid to even peek to get their beam attached on King of the Hill maps, or maybe they'll stagger themselves trying to back out of a lost fight instead of just jumping off the map, or they'll leave a fight too early because they think it's lost when a more proactive playstyle could make a difference. Now keep in mind, I'm not saying die more or play recklessly, but I still think this is worth keeping in the back of your mind somewhere. And there we go, that's all from me for this little video. Thank you so much for watching and have a nice day!